We the GamerCast is powered by patrons at patreon.com/YumiCapri. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to the nearly 70 patrons who support us each and every month, with a special thanks to our Capremium producers, Dallas Ford, Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team, and Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the Nintendo Drive. You can support Jonathan Brown at youtube.com/PM Entertainment. Our platinum producers, Robbie Bobby Miller and Trucker Sloth, and our gold members, Argo, Benji Kong, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Dano, Emily O'Kelly, Foolish Fuji, Heather Boney, James Johnson, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, and Xavier Reyes. If you'd like to support this show and all the Yumi Capri content, go to patreon.com/Yumi Capri and choose the tier that's right for you. Now, on with the show. It's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to We the GamerCast. It publishes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play every single Monday. Patrons get it first. Thank you for subscribing, for listening, for after you listen, you tell a friend, you tell a mom, you tell your dad, you tell your cousin, you tell your step-cousin, your second cousin twice removed, your ex-husband, whoever you're telling. Tell your exes about this show, man. Just share it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Max, my cat, has joined me. I don't know that he loves that intro all that much, but he's now hiding in my closet, getting cat hair everywhere. Oh, this cat. We now have a cat, guys, but I'll get to that in just a second, because if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with a stranger from the internet. We talk about life and games, and if you want to be on the show or just message me, you can tweet at me at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. We got a great one for you. It's all an all Canada episode. I think we're doing a couple of these in a row. If my schedule holds and everything goes okay, there's going to be a lot of Canada coming at you guys. So prepare yourselves for maple syrup and hockey sticks and beavers and moose. That's, I think, generally what we're going to be chatting about for the next little while. I'm glad you guys are here. It's been a little over a week since I kind of started to take a break from Twitch. Normally I'm over at twitch.tv/Sean Capri, but I'm taking a month off of that. Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays was when that's when I would stream at the end of the night, at the end of the day. And guess what? Since COVID started, I put on a couple tens of pounds, put on quite a bit of weight, and I'm now 2 weeks removed from my second shot, so my 5G is fully powered. I am now fully vaccinated. I'm feeling great. Things are good. Life is great. And, man, after a week off of Twitch and just trying to put some focus into this thing, I've lost 7 pounds. I feel awesome. I feel like that's kind of extraordinary, and probably speaks more to how terribly I was eating before and how much weight I had put on. I think it's always a little bit easier when you're at your heaviest in your entire life. I think it's a little easier to just like try to make some good changes. And I mean, at least it is for me. I'm very grateful. So I want to continue on with this momentum. It's got to carry on. And every single day I'm like, that's a temptation. That's a temptation. My kids, they got like donuts upstairs. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I've got it under control. I'm setting good habits. And I think that's the biggest thing about taking the break, is just try to apply some energy somewhere else rather than what I've been doing, and kind of hoping for something else to be there. So stay tuned on that. I don't need to spend a whole heck of a lot of time on that. I just want to say thank you to everybody for being very nice and understanding and encouraging. Lots of people, especially shout out to Marcus O'Neill. I probably said this last week, maybe, I don't remember. There's now a cat falling down my stairs. What do you, or that was a dog. There are so many animals living. I'm actually alone right now. But the animals are taking over the house. So maybe we should probably just get into this. Holy crap. I have a great conversation coming at you guys with Leah Jewer, the co-founder and host of Girls on Games, and she's the senior digital content manager for iHeartRadio. I think you guys are going to have a great time, because I had a great time. I will say, Max, could you guys hear that? What are you trying to do to me here, dude? We're recording a podcast. This is very unprofessional of you. Okay. We should, because we have a wonderful guest. We got Leah. Like, this is the Leah show, not the Max show. Yeah, go into my closet and get fur all over my clothes. Awesome. Super awesome. Okay. Here she is, Leah Jewer.
ain't professional. Fake it till you make it.
Dude, are you? No kidding. That's actually true, isn't it?
It so is. Because I feel like you just end up, but that's the best way to learn. You stumble around, figure it out, make mistakes, get her done, figure it out, and you're good.
Because then you realize that everybody else is doing the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah. Did you go back ever and listen to your very first episode?
Yeah. I was so like, I just wanted it to be perfect, you know, and it's kind of like the worst thing that you could possibly do is to overthink it and want it to be like better than you're capable of being. And guess what? You're never going to have a show smaller than your first episode. So like, what are you freaking out about?
Exactly.
Or your first 10. I mean, hopefully, unless you invite some gigantic guest on and make a big deal about it, and then you're not good. I don't know. Yeah, the early days they can be a little embarrassing. A little cringe. You ever listen? How long have you been at this for?
Oh my God. Well, we're at episode 314 now.
Good God.
We've only missed a few weeks, very few weeks, because we'll pre-record. Like over the holidays, we'll do a bunch of episodes back to back. We'll get drunk, play games. I love playing like radio games with them. It's fun.
Yeah.
With the team. And I think we missed like the week I got married. And like
just maybe that week.
Yeah, and we've had like a handful, like maybe not even 5 that we've missed. We've been very consistent considering, we Girls on Games will turn 10 the first, well, I guess October of this year. 10. Yeah. 10.
Wow.
It'll be my 10-year anniversary at Bell in August, and we started just after that, Kat and I, because we were putting up Babe of the Day. And we were like, this makes no sense. Why are we finding the scantily clad women?
I was going to say, when you're kind of just like following the gaming template, the format, you're like, what are we supposed to do? How do we come like gaming? Okay, babe booths. Yep, booth babes.
And then and we were doing that, but at the same time, Jason Acevedo, who used to work at Ubisoft, had handed a copy of Rocksmith to Jason Rockman, who is the evening show host and a very good friend of mine on Showm. And Jason was like, hey, Leah, what do I do with this? And I was like, ooh, this is cool. And then Kat and I got to talking, and that's how we kind of bonded when we first started together. It was like, you like Zelda? I like Zelda.
Oh, did we just become best friends?
Exactly. And we went to the higher ups at the radio station. We're like, we were thinking, how about we make content about video games and stop doing Babe of the Day or something in exchange? And they were like, do we have to do anything? We're like, no, we're the webmasters. We'll control everything. We'll get her done. And it kind of grew from there. And then, got syndicated on 13 radio station websites. It was Astral then. Now it's Bell.
Oh,
and when we wanted to start a podcast, and when the Astral Bell deal started, Kat and I went to our, supervisors again and be like, yeah, we kind of want to do our own thing. Do you mind? And they're like, can you still come on the radio and talk about video games when the time comes? I'm like, hell yeah.
That's like the best deal ever.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And then, of course, there's been changes between like Catherine leaving Bell and me moving to Toronto, and team changes.
Where were you before? I thought you were always
I was in
Toronto.
Montreal. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was in Montreal before. Yeah, I had 18 years in Montreal.
Where are you? Like, let's go all the way back. Like, where are you originally from?
St. John's, Newfoundland.
There it is. I
am an East Coaster.
That explains almost everything. Yeah, boy. Okay, that explains quite a bit. How long were you there for? Like, how long before you kind of escaped there? Because I think that's kind of there's a rite of passage, right?
Yeah,
you turn a certain age and you just like you leave.
Yeah, I turned 18 and GTFO.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to do art school, and the only thing was in Corner Brook, and I knew painting, drawing, sculpture, that wasn't going to be an actual money-making career. So I ended up getting accepted to Concordia University to do a bachelor in, design arts, along with a minor in computation arts. So I'm like on the art side of it.
What's computation arts?
It was like the bare minimum at the time of kind of like the way Concordia the program set you up is like you learn to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got a little bit of like programming and a little bit of web development and a little bit of 3D Maya and a little bit of this and that and the other thing. And after I left did 4 years of that, because that's the weird thing too. In Quebec, they have CEGEP. So usually you go to grade 11 and then you do CJEP, which is almost like
what does that
college technical school.
It sounds like a bad picture format.
Yeah, I don't know what CJEP actually stands for. It's something French.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it's in between university and high school, and you learn a trade or maybe more technical skills.
Right.
And then you go to university for 3 years and do a degree.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Maybe
some real life skills and like how to
real life skills. A lot of people fail out.
Yeah. Oh no,
actually,
that's not a good sign.
Not too many, but it's just like you get the freedom of university with the mentality of high school. So I don't think everybody's totally prepared.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends that went
a
through
year
it
early too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then I had to do 4 years because I didn't do CJEP. So I
and you're all alone, like you
left
left your parents and everybody behind. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
Were
you like, was that
independent.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, doesn't seem like that would be too scary for you at all.
It was kind of like just like I ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah,
and then I did it again because I went down to Savannah, Georgia, to do my master's.
What? I didn't know this. Oh, that's awesome. What master's in what? Graphic
design.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like the thing, because I felt like I was like, I know all these things,
right?
But I need a specialization. And even when I went and did graphic design, you're still doing, and even a master's in that, you're still doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I found that I was able to formulate my thoughts as a art critic and proper criticism.
Yeah.
That really helped, I find, in what we do for Girls on Games, because I'm allowed to look at things a lot more critically, and I'm just a nerd for like the business side of it too.
Yeah.
So and because I have my background, 10 years at Bell, so I just like using that. I feel like it's just been it's an interesting aspect to have the artistic side and the business side kind of mushed together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, you don't see it too often. Like, when was your when would you say like your path was pretty much set? Like, did you wait? Were you kind of like partying? I don't imagine like you were ever partying. Like, I feel like you were always like in school. You're probably like A+ student, always like first with your homework in, like kind of a keener.
I did well, but work hard, play hard kind of deal.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. I have some stories from undergrad.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to somebody about kitchen parties just this morning.
Oh my God,
actually,
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's always a good time. If you ever have a newfie at a party, it always turns into a kitchen party.
Always turns into a kitchen party. What is that?
That's where the food is. That's where the booze is. Easy access. You don't really have to worry about spills. It's just a communal space.
Spills.
Yeah, exactly. You break something, it's okay. You can sweep it up pretty easily instead of like a red wine and a nice carpet, right?
Well, it's funny you say that, because it sounds like there's a lot of forethought that goes into it, but I actually don't even know if that's what it is. It's just like, it's kind of like where you end up, but also there's benefits to it.
Yeah, there are definitely benefits, but the benefit back in the day was that's where the stove would be, the hot, like the potbelly stove, where it keep the hottest place in the house. So that's why people always showed up there, right? And it was often the bigger room too. And so that's where kind of a kitchen party comes from. And because usually a kitchen party comes with a scoff, a good meal, So everybody's always getting fed and drinking. Yeah, it's a very newfie way.
Do you ever go back? Do you ever? Because it's just like, it's such a party. It's a time. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I do when I can. I haven't been back in a long time because COVID.
Yeah.
My parents were up. The last time I saw my mom and dad was January 4th, 2020.
Yeah.
So
does that seem like, it does seem like forever ago, doesn't it? Like, it was a year really that we were kind of in lockdown, a little over a year. But like, how was that for you? Does it seem like just a lifetime? I don't know. It
wasn't too bad.
At the same time, it's like blink of an eye, and also more than that. I don't know.
Yeah, there were definitely moments when it dragged on, when you were like, is this ever going to end?
This is forever now. This is this forever?
Yes, this is my life now.
It's like the David, the dentist kid.
Yeah.
He was all drugged out and he's like, is this forever? Yeah.
Oh my God. I pulled that meme up a few days ago. I don't know what it was, but that came into my head. And whoever I was with, I was like, don't you remember David at the dentist? And they're like, no. And I'm like, where have you been?
Were they a younger person? Was it maybe an age thing?
My brain is a sieve. I'm lucky I remember what I have for breakfast.
I don't know. I'm the same as you. It's actually kind of embarrassing. Like, for the most part, I try to like, purvey that I'm trying to keep it together. But for the most part, like, it's Swiss cheese up there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just holes everywhere. Yeah.
But the most ridiculous stuff sticks.
I know.
you turn on and like I've always been into music. I kind of fell into radio.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I fell into that.
Yeah.
On the digital side. And but music's always been something that's been big in my household. And I played piano and all this kind of stuff because keep a kid out of trouble, give them after school activities, right?
But yeah.
Played a whole bunch of different musical instruments growing up. But not doing any of that now, except my husband does. But music wise, there's just like I might not remember the words to a song if you said, sing this song. I wouldn't know. But as soon as the tune turns on, I'm in it and I know all the words. And I can often turn a phrase into like a song or find something.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep.
We end up doing that on the podcast a lot too.
You're like, I hope it, whether you know what I'm talking about or sing about, like whatever, we're in it now.
Yeah.
Like that all for one thing that Xbox did. Like,
Frig, wasn't that funny?
When was the last time you heard the song I Swear? And now it's it's in my
if you
head
listen to
nonstop.
a retro, when you listen to all those like retro songs, like a throwback playlist or whatever, then the jams pop up. But no, I hadn't heard that in a while. But like you're expecting the real words to come, and then you see this commercial, and you're like, wow.
And it just kept going. Like they could have gotten away with like a verse. Like or half a verse or something like that. It's just like they full on produce like all the lyrics. Yeah,
the 4:3 aspect ratio, the weird lighting, the weird set, even like the lower thirds that look like it came from MTV. Like,
oh my god, I didn't even notice the 4:3 aspect ratio. That is amazing. I'm now thinking, I'm kind of replaying in my head. Like it almost looked like it was playing like on a VCR. Like the quality wasn't really all that great. Holy crap! Yeah, there's something special about that. Like, there's something. They got to do more research on. Like, what is it about that stuff that sticks in your brain?
Xbox is on freaking fire lately with their PR stuff. I gotta say, they're just like right in the zeitgeist right now. Their finger is on the pulse. Like I've never seen a company before.
They're kind of in a desperate spot. When you think about the last 10 years, it's kind of like they kind of had to. And you think about. Like Nintendo doesn't really have to do it. They're going to put out an OLED model and people will buy that. And I'll be buying Skyward Sword at the end of this week, even though I said 100 times that I won't. And I bought Animal Crossing, even though I've gone on and on about my problem with that game.
What's your problem with that game?
That you can only have one island per cartridge and per console.
Yeah.
Like you can't have two. You can I've been saving multiple save files on cartridges for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I can't do it on Animal Crossing.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, like that's kind of like there's a couple other. I've gotten into some stupidly heated like conversation, which is really dumb. But like, what else are we gonna do?
It was a weird caveat to put in place, considering everything else, and then like how you couldn't like save it. It was stuck to your Switch, and I'm like, my 500 hours. I can't lose my 500
I saw a couple people lose it early in the days, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's and the whole cloud thing. Like you can't save to the cloud, and apparently all because of hackers. Apparently they're ruining it for the rest of us, is what I'm told, but I don't really buy it. So we just end up arguing and fighting over silly video games, and then something in real life happens, and then you realize maybe it's kind of dumb that we fight about that.
We need something to talk about.
Well, that's kind of how I feel. Like that's kind of I've gone back and forth on this like over the years on like, okay, like how viscerally should we be conversating about some of this stuff but I think we should be critical about it. Like I kind of like what you're talking about. Like you bring a critical eye to some of these things. I think it's important. But at the same time, like how do you make sure that you're always reminding yourself it is video games, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to die over this stuff.
But I mean that's part of it too, because as human beings, we want things to spend our time at and to keep our brain stimulated and to be artistic and to get expressions out there and stories and all that kind of stuff. And that's where video games is so interesting, because it's like a happy, smushed up version altogether that, we can all sit down and chat about. I mean, book clubs have been around forever.
Yes.
Movie critics. It's like, it kind of makes sense.
Book clubs are the thing, man. Like, that's the one thing. I don't know about you. Like, when you've been doing this for as long as maybe collectively, we're decades into this thing. You know what I mean? Which is kind of nuts.
Makes
but
me
like
feel old.
the book club is the one thing that I haven't done, and I've always wanted to do it. Like for video games, it's just they're too long. Like I don't know. I think that's a little difficult to get around. Although books are long too. Like books take time for people to get through.
Yeah,
people manage.
They can. It depends on the book, and it depends how much you're into it. Because there's some books that I'm like, I could devour it. the Harry Potter
Are you still
series.
like physical on books? Or are you Kindling?
No,
or?
I've gone digital, and my
Yeah.
sister turned me on to audiobooks too, and now that's my new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
don't
I could
know.
get kind of hooked on the narrator, like whoever the voice person or whatever you call that.
Yeah.
Like
I
not
get
the
that.
actor so much as like whoever's gonna like whatever they're reading.
Reading
If it was
it.
like Morgan Freeman doing it, like let me just give me all the Morgan Freeman books that he's done.
He could read me the phone book, and I would be
Have
happy.
you ever done that? Have you? You should get into. Like I have a feeling like you're kind of like on the
I've never
cusp.
tried.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
could
I've
do
heard,
it.
I've heard some of the tales about the audiobooks and how you have to do all of the work yourself in the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Like before
I do.
you kind of get picked up by somebody, or like what do you mean you have to do all the work?
Well, yeah, they kind of have. I've heard somewhere along the line. I don't know what company it was, or someone mentioned it, maybe in a podcast I listened to.
Yeah.
That like in the beginning when you're starting out, if you want to offer your services to do like the live reading, you do the read, the edit, the post-production, everything,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Which is a lot of work.
That's a lot. You imagine? Like, I don't love doing it for like an hour-long podcast, let alone however. What are you talking? Like 10 hours to read through? Like, I have no idea how long that takes.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
and like Goblet of Fire is like 28 hours long. If you
Oh.
listen to that.
Yeah.
Her pass.
Yeah.
Hey, I will read it if someone will edit it for me.
Are you like, because like you've been on radio for a while, like you've been doing this a bit for like, do you take care of your voice? Do you have active, like, do you have to do exercises? Do you like have like throat coat or anything like that? I don't know if that's a real thing. I hear people talk about that.
Yeah, I don't really do any radio shows. I just usually do hits when,
Yeah.
you know, they want someone to come in and do, you know, to talk video games.
Sure.
Or they have questions or something like that. Like when Gamergate came up, Pokemon Go. And
Oh,
I used
yeah.
to do a hit every Tuesday morning with the folks on TSN in Montreal, talking video games. But,
Mhm.
you know, not really.
Yeah.
I don't really think, because I'm just not doing it all the time. Now,
Yeah.
I know there's, you know, team members of mine, like the folks that are on Virgin Toronto and Chum and News Talk 1010 and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
they have rituals and things like
Sure.
that to warm themselves up. But then they also do stuff.
But they're
like
also
show
not from
prep.
Newfoundland. Like you're
Yeah,
kind of like
that's like a
it's kind of in your-
superpower, right?
Exactly. You just come out and like babies come out not crying. They're just yammering on. They're telling jokes, telling stories about in the womb. I don't know why, like, but I'm thinking like Newfie, but for whatever reason, when I kind of think about that in this very moment, I think about like an old comedian or somebody just coming out there, just I was gonna say Ron Jeremy's not what I'm thinking of. Who the heck is the guy's name from Caddyshack?
Snook?
Goodness gracious!
Oh my God! What was the dude from Caddyshack?
It's gone. See,
John
remember-
Candy? John?
Well, the-
John?
No, it's gone.
Bill Murray?
He is also from Caddyshack, but holy crap, it's over. I have to like actually look it up. He gets no respect at all. No respect at all. That's that guy is what I'm thinking
I
of.
don't
And
remember.
see, this is what I mean. Like
It's
my
been so
brain
long
is
since I
a
watched it.
disaster.
I know, it really is.
It's a very famous comedian, and this is terrible. But anyways, that's what I picture a baby coming out in Newfoundland. It's just this old, jaded comedian with a cigar in his mouth. Like a New Year's baby, kind of. Kind of like that.
There are some pretty funny, like stereotypical Newfie comedians. There's a guy named Snook. There's a dude, Buddy, what's his name, and the other fellers is like a group. And
You have
they
to
do,
say it like a Newfie too,
songs.
right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to not say it
Rodney
like a Newfie.
Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is.
That's
is
his
the
name.
comedian.
Okay,
Rodney
yeah.
Dangerfield. Good.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody's screaming at me right now.
Yeah, they're
otherwise.
yelling at us. Yeah, I just anticipate everybody's yelling at me all the time.
All the time?
I'm constantly flubbing my words. It's kind of a running joke.
Mhm.
I can't pronounce some things.
Yeah.
Mario,
Like what?
Mario, who cares?
Oh.
Tomato. You know, I'm just like, look, I'm a Newfie. It just
So what do
comes out the way it comes out.
Do you just go back and forth then, or do you?
Oh
think
yeah,
that,
whatever just happens. They know, people know what I mean. I'm talking about Mario or Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I was checking myself a lot when Kat and I hosted the panel of Charles Martinet in Montreal Comic Con a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
Because I had to make sure I said the character's name right there.
So where did you get like corrected? Like when you must have had to like look into it? Because I've heard both ways. I'm a Mario person. Like is that where you had to go and correct
Yeah, I think
yourself
it's
to
Mario is the correct. Mario is just that's just what my mouth wants to do. Mario.
So
I don't know why, but it's Mario.
I think a lot of people do that, and because you're super nice, like I won't harp on you because I do think that it's Mario, and I have yelled at people because of it. But that's neither here nor there.
The thing is I know, I just don't care.
Well, that's why I can't yell at you about it. Like you've kind of like diverted already. I'm just like, well, that's kind of like playing keep away from somebody who doesn't want their thing back.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't really matter.
The thing is too, we've got our podcast too. We I know 2 languages, English and French.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine is first language French, but knows English like the back of her hand.
Yeah.
Simon is first language French, English second language. Also Allie, first language English, knows French. So we use a lot of French words too. We'll throw them in there, and like accents, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll correct each other and giggle about it when we're saying the wrong thing. But it's people understand, so we're not really worried about it. You know what I mean?
When I first got into this, I ended up podcasting with somebody from the States, and he would always make fun of all my Canadianisms, like especially my oot and a boot kind of like. It's not quite as oot and a boot, but it's kind of like I kind of get what he's saying. So I've kind of been watching that lately, but there's still certain things that kind of slip on through. And I don't know why.
Yeah,
but if you're around other Canadians, and maybe and especially like the ones you're with, like it's a bit of a mishmash, like you said, different accents.
Yeah, you start to absorb it. Like obviously, grew up in Newfoundland, had a Newfie accent, but lived in St. John, so a townie as we call them, rather than a Bayman. So if you really want to hear a thick Newfie accent, is the people that don't live in St. John's.
Oh, okay.
So around the bay, it's the Bayman. People who live around the bay.
Oh.
Their accent is legit.
Yeah.
Like they are speaking another language.
Yeah.
So that's something to get used to. So lived in Newfoundland, but, tried to at least speak a little bit more English proper, considering I was in St. John's. But then I decided to take French immersion. So learning French with a Newfie accent, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Then moved to Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
And, the language is different in Montreal and Quebec City versus in, up
that doesn't
north,
seem
down
fair.
south, whatever.
That
it's all different.
Mm-hmm. How are you supposed to survive with
that? You get used to it.
Yes.
And then, different accents, different, using French and English interchangeably all the time. Franglais, as we call it.
Franglais. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then went to the Deep South, started picking up a Southern drawl. And
wait, when did you go to the Deep South?
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then pick that up a little bit, and then come to Toronto, back to Montreal, back to Toronto, and it's a mishmash. So I just
feel like you could pick it up even in this conversation, actually.
Like
it kind of
you probably will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the speaking of Mario? What about that developer who makes that Assassin's Creed? How do you say that? You're a guild member or something like that? Thank you.
Ubisoft.
Yes, that's
not
correct.
Ubisoft.
Thank you.
I mean,
yes.
Phonetically, based on what the umlaut, if it had an umlaut, then I could see it. But yeah, Ubisoft.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, in case you're listening, Joe, it's Ubisoft.
Are we opening up the Pandora's box here?
I think we just closed it, actually.
Okay, good.
I think we just sealed it. I think we just welded it shut. I think that's it.
There's so many words like that in video games too. Like that's the worst thing when I read through news stories and I look at people's names and I'm just like, I am going to butcher this.
Yeah.
I apologize in advance. I'm going to try, but I'm sorry.
Yeah. I used to be a cashier over at a grocery store, Safeway, and it was part of what you had to do was thank the person by name, because you would scan like their member card and it would show up on the receipt. So you'd like, thank you, Mr. or Ms. whatever. And I often got compliments for how often I would get the person's name right.
Nice.
Take a bit of a stab. Speaking of fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Good skills.
I don't know if I would do so. Well, back then I'd probably rang up their order wrong. Probably get all those mistakes, but I'd nail the last name.
You were younger. You had less Swiss cheese holes in the brain.
Yeah. Well, less excuse, I guess.
Less decay.
What about games like back in the day? Like, was it always like, now it just seems kind of normal for us to just go like, you like games, I like games, cool, let's be best friends. Like, was that always the case for you? Like, did you have friends growing up like playing games, or it's just you by yourself, like playing on the TV, or did you grow up with friends playing with games?
Yeah, me and my brother played a lot. He got the NES and the SNES, and I just kind of played it, but it was more like a guy's thing because it was marketed to boys.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah.
And then we got the holy present one Christmas, which was the Nintendo 64. And that was the turning point. But yeah, a few friends around. There wasn't really too many girls my age in like my neighborhood. In school, obviously, I had friends and everything and stuff more on the girl side. But mostly is a whole bunch of guys that kind of lived around our age, that were around our age group.
Yeah.
One of them actually works at a video game company now back in St. John's, which is
cool.
Yeah. Stephen Jeffers, he works at Other Ocean, or at least I think he does. He's been on the podcast to talk about it. Whether or not he's still there, I'm not sure. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of us and we all love playing games, and that was just our thing. So I remember, sitting in my brother's bedroom, me, Steven, and Doug passing the controller around, trying to get through that goddamn water level in Ocarina of Time. Swearing, though we shouldn't be swearing because we were children. But yeah, and then just been playing video games ever since, and it was kind of just a great way escapism, considering I did spend a lot of time on my own traveling, not knowing people. So it's fantastic.
There was never a time where you kind of like, am I gonna like break away from this? Like, I feel like again, like that's kind of just like, for a lot of people, it's maybe like that rite of passage, or like, do you ever grow apart from it? You got bring back by like,
no,
for
I
me, it was like the
so.
Wii. It was like, oh, there's a lot of other people who like video games. Cool. Let's get back into this. This is fun.
I would say when I moved to Montreal, my parents did not want me to bring a video game system because they were worried that it was going to rot my brain and I was not going to do my university schooling.
Yeah.
But then I went and bought one anyway. I bought a PS2.
Yeah.
Because Final Fantasy X, got to do it. So yeah, that not really, unless my parents told me not to. And then I disobeyed.
That's a pretty good thing to rebel against, really.
Yeah.
Your parents saying not buy a video game, it's,
Now it's hilarious, though, because my mom listens to the podcast. Now she knows.
Does she really?
That's awesome. About video games. I know. It's so cute.
That's so awesome.
Our podcast is formatted where we kind of do our intro, like kind of speak of the video game topics we're going to get into.
Yeah.
And then we go into the crew check-in. Just to, see what's been up with life, because, we all don't live together. It's the one point of the week where we can all chat. And that's my mom's favorite part of the show because she knows everybody on the podcast. Catherine obviously was in my wedding. She's, been listening to Allie and Simon now for 10 years. So... So yeah, she loves it, and she always like will talk to. She's like, "So is your podcast coming out on Monday?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then I'll shout her out in the podcast, especially because cooking comes up a lot, and my mom is a fabulous cook. Yeah, I'm a little spoiled when I go home.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so she adores it, and now when she hears something on CBC about video games, she'd tell me about it, or saw something on the news about video games. Like it's almost like it's now that it's like more mainstream, she gets it. My dad gets it, right? And when I show him stuff like Red Dead Redemption 2, and he's just like, I could be a cowboy. I'm like, yes. And when they were up, 2 Christmases ago now.
Yeah.
I put the PSVR on them. That was entertaining.
I put it on them.
I was like, play Beat Saber. My mom loved it.
No kidding. Well, it's new age. It's new age Wii. Like, if they thought that was amazing, like I've told the story about like putting the controller in my dad's hand. We were playing Wii tennis, and he would like. You're really only supposed to like move the controller, but he did the whole miming of it. Like he pretended like he'd got a tennis ball in his one hand, he'd throw it up, and then he'd take the controller and he'd smash that down, and then he would run around the room, like he'd kind of like hobble around like he was a real life me. He didn't realize that it was just gonna move by himself. Like he was just kind of over controlling. Super cute. He's knocking things over. Yeah, bumping. But
that's
into
where
people.
The fun comes, right?
Yeah. So I can't imagine like what it would be like to put a VR thing.
Yeah, it was interesting when we got it. I was like, Mom, I cannot wait for you to come play this, because she's always had the secret dream of wanting a drum kit and playing a drum kit. So Beat Saber has that, like, the rhythm thing going.
Yeah. So drums are way louder than people even realize. Everybody like, oh, it'd be cool to play drums. You ever have that in your house?
Yeah, that would be obnoxious.
They are obnoxious. So loud.
A little kid learning how to play saxophone was not nearly, maybe 10% of what someone would be trying to learn how to play drums.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, like listening to your first podcast. Like, go back and listen to yourself, like learning an instrument.
Yeah, but at least then it's like you can kind of keep it contained to yourself. Drums is like the whole house and maybe the neighborhood is hearing it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you got to start with and now there's like electronic drums and everything.
Yeah.
Like you could start out quieter. You don't have to go full out.
Even those though, you still, you're going to hear the wax, right? Because there's still, you still want to hit it with enough vigor to make the noise.
Oh, definitely.
Right? So.
Like playing Rock Band and stuff back in the day. Like, I don't know, like some of the Rock Band ones especially were like, they had like a bounce to them. Like they kind of had like a pop.
A clack and a thud. But if you hit the pad in the middle or the thing on the sides, the plastic on the sides.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to wreck them immediately. They had those, you could buy pads for them to soften them a little bit.
Pads.
Or you can have something.
The cymbal thing too.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, the Guitar Hero had the best ones in my opinion, because you actually had they kind of had fake cymbals, kind of they had the ones on the bottom, and then actually we connected two kick drums together. You could get a Y cable and connect two of them together, double bass, which was very important with Guitar Hero Metallica.
Oh,
because you could play expert on it and do the whole
Of course.
Yeah. Are you into all music? Kind of doesn't matter.
There's not much I don't like.
Yeah,
maybe
same.
yodeling, but I mean, in the right context, I'd be into that too.
Kind of have an appreciation for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Price is Right or whatever.
A skill set.
Yeah. I think I should replace the intro music for this show to just yodeling.
I apologize in advance. I did not mean to influence this. I am sorry.
It's happening. It's too late. Apologize all you want. I'd be the only podcast. The only. I could get you to do it.
No, I'm not doing it. That's all you get.
Give it a look.
That was my 10 seconds of fame as a yodeler.
Well, there's at least one listener who can turn that into a beat for me.
Oh
they
my
can just
God.
kind of take that sample and just we'll do a little something with that. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
That is funny. The weirdest thing though is that sometimes so in the intro of my podcast, Mike intros our podcast, my husband, and I intro his sneaker podcast.
So cool. Sneaker podcast?
Yeah, it's all on
like
sneakers.
Shoes.
The sneaker podcast. Oh yeah.
It's a niche. That's
oh
who
yeah.
else has
It's
got?
a
He's
big
probably
money niche.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Holy
you
cow.
think video game collectors are insane? You haven't met a sneakerhead.
Well, I just saw Super Mario 64 sold for $1.5 million or something.
Yeah.
And Zelda sold for $870K last week or something. Yeah, and people make fun of me for keeping some of this stuff in boxes behind me. You know what I mean? Maybe one day. Nobody's gonna know how much Diddy Kong amiibo is gonna sell for.
You don't know.
Years.
That's
you don't
the
know?
point of being a collector.
That could be the one. And that's where everything falls apart, though. Is when people see that there might be money to be made in collecting some of these things, then none of them have value.
Well,
that's how comics and everything dropped off.
Why there are no PS5s, because everybody thinks they're going to make money off it.
Yeah.
By scalping it.
I hope they get stuck with it.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Do you have both? Do
you
you have Xbox and PlayStation?
I got everything.
You got it all. Yeah. You're a
grown
up.
Just take my money. Credit card man's gonna love me.
From day one, did you have any troubles getting any of those?
No, I don't know. I think I just lucked into it.
Yeah.
So when the PlayStation,
you wanted it more.
One of them came first. One of them dropped first. Was PlayStation that dropped the orders first, and I don't know what the heck happened.
Yeah, the pre-orders were first.
I remember what happened. My old boss, the old head of iHeart, he's a gamer too, and we've been always talking about PlayStation stuff. And he had seen that and had posted on Instagram that he got his at the source. So, and I knew already that I wanted the digital model, so I wasn't really scrambling to get the disc drive.
Right.
And I just managed to be at home, got on the computer, already had my info into the source and purchased it.
Yeah.
And then the Xbox, originally I had it purchased via Amazon, but then I ended up getting a review model. So I relinquished that to a friend.
I did the same thing. Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. And speaking that's just it. Xbox really is kind of they're almost too generous. Sometimes I don't know, maybe Xbox, if you're listening, stop listening just for a second. But every now and then, Xbox send me something. I'm like, are you sure? Do you know?
You want a scoop? Because I haven't even had a chance to take a picture of this. I got that Space Jam kit
I just got it too. Me too.
Dude, that thing is huge.
It is way bigger than I thought. I've seen pictures, but it's enormous.
Talk about not wanting to take something apart.
Seriously. Yeah.
Like, it's too pretty, and the box is gorgeous. Anything with a gradient on it, and I'm like, yes, give it to me.
Gradients coming back.
Oh my God, I love gradients. Anything 80s, I'm here for it. 80s neon, I'm here for it.
Neon.
So yeah, that box is just like sitting out in my living room. I was like, you're borderline almost as big as a PS5 box.
Yeah.
With the 3 controllers and the figurine and the little Bugs Bunny card.
The Bugs Bunny card is awesome. And like how it's like,
nice
speaking of collectibles, it is a really nice, it looks like that's a thing that like you're lucky. I'm like, I can't believe I got one of these. And it's like, well, that's the design of the whole like package. But yeah, like it seems like I've discovered and I got a rare card that I don't want to bend, fold, or break or anything.
Exactly. Thank goodness it come in the little plastic thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, very, and that's just it. Like very, I don't know. I feel very fortunate when that kind of stuff happens.
Me too.
You know
they're
what I mean?
so generous, but that's what I mean. Like I just feel like they're running on full cylinders, and they walk the walk and talk the talk. And I'm so impressed. I was not an Xbox gamer. My first console, my Xbox console, was the Xbox One. I just never went down that route because it was like Nintendo, PlayStation, just because of the types of games I liked growing up. And then got into it a little bit because we had one at the radio station. We had a 360 at the radio station. And when the new consoles came out that year in 2013, I got it. And I have been so impressed at everything they've been doing that, you know, I am like full force Xbox right now. I'm playing more on my Xbox than I'm playing on my Nintendo and my PlayStation.
Yeah. I'm still waiting. Like, for me, PlayStation's just a little too big. And this is the thing. Like, I feel like I can't even say things like this because Xbox sends me stuff. And every now and then I'll kind of throw out there, like, do you know how many like PlayStation 4s I bought? Like that. I kind of throw that out there, and it's like, it doesn't actually really matter. But I want a smaller one. I don't want it to be enormous, Leah. Like, it's the size of my 2-year-old, for God's sakes.
There is a famous designer who passed away, or architect, passed away a few years ago. I want to make sure I get her name and say it right. Hold on.
I'm assuming like she made like buildings.
Yes, she made buildings. Her name is Zaha Hadid. Zahadid. She's a British Iraqi architect that I've always loved. I went and saw one of her exhibits at the Guggenheim in New York back like the first time I went. Yeah. And her buildings remind me so much of the PS5 and vice versa. It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I saw it, I was like,
5 stories
that
tall.
looks like a piece of architecture, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm the only one though. Like, this is the thing. Sometimes I find myself on a bit of an island because
other people
it's selling
are
all
saying
like crazy.
the same thing.
But they buy it anyways. Like it's kind of stopping me from like, do I really need to spend whatever it is? Like, and they're only available in bundles now. You know, you can only get them like with 2 controllers and also like this game and some warranty or whatever. So it's going to cost me like $800 to get my hands on one. I'm like, it's that plus it's gigantic. I remember like moving things around for my PS3, and it's bigger than that.
Oh, so did you have the fatty PS3?
Oh yeah, like day one. I didn't buy it on day one, but I was convinced.
Me neither.
I was convinced, and man, when I first saw Nathan Drake like jump in the water, I'm like, yeah, I need this console. That's so stupid.
I managed to convince my dad to buy one of those because I'm like, Dad, it's a Blu-ray player too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Blu-ray players like $1,200.
Yeah. It was the same thing with the PS2. I'm like, Mom, it's a DVD player too. Please. No, Leah. Okay, I'll go do it anyway.
Was that I was going to ask, was that the first one that you bought on your own? Like, was that the kind of...
Yeah, I'd say with my own money. Everything else is kind of like birthday presents and stuff, like the Game Boy, the DS, and things like that, right?
Game Boy, yes.
It's all Pokemon hardcore, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Are you hyped about Pokemon this year? Like, is that hit the nostalgia for you? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think I was going to be into Let's Go, but I did. I mean, I had lots of fun with it. I mean, the thing is the games are just fun in general, and just throwing a new graphic level on it, I'm here for it. Yeah. I mean, that's why Nintendo is Nintendo. It's like, it doesn't matter how many times they put up Super Mario 3. I'm buying it.
Are you really? Yeah, but I mean, yeah, right? Like, it's Super Mario 3.
I don't know what they do.
I know.
Sorry. What is the secret sauce, Nintendo? What is the secret sauce?
Nostalgia. It's like when
but
did we all play this?
Nostalgia.
feel like it's a pretty, I think it's kind of a hallmark of it all, really. I mean, especially if you're talking about like the same game, Super Mario 3, Super Mario 4, or World. What is like, and maybe I'll just throw you on the spot, like of all the Mario games, like what do you hold the highest? Because for me, like it kind of changes from week to week, year to year. I don't really know. Like, I think if I was to tell you, like right off the top of my head, I think it's Mario 3. But then I play and see World, and it's like, golly, this game is actually amazing. It's
World
so
is
good.
fantastic. 3 is fantastic. 64 is fantastic. And then Yoshi's Island is a gem.
Yes!
I love that game.
Yes!
The music in that game just stuck with me.
Yep.
And the art style.
Art style actually, like, for whatever reason, when I think of Yoshi's Island, like, I think of, like, Nintendo Power. Like, I think of the screenshots in Nintendo and how, like, it just worked. Like, a lot of screenshots didn't, like, translate over to magazines all that well. Like, even back in the day, you're like, this isn't looking
I think
so
it was
great.
because they tried to do that painterly effect. So when they went to print that hand-drawn style rendered even better in ink because you didn't have the pixelation because you had the bleeding of the ink. So it looked even better than the TV.
Yeah. Well, and then they would always kind of like blend the two art styles with like the screenshots, but then also everything else. I don't know. There's probably some terms of like the design of the magazine or those pages, the layouts of them would kind of adopt that as well. So they would, I don't know. I really enjoyed that. And I've had a lot of conversations about this. I don't know what your take is on it. Like, where can Mario go now in terms of like art style? Like, it seems like they've done a bunch of stuff, and Kirby did a thing. Like, they've like claymation stuff and yarn and all these different things. And the new Super Mario Brothers has kind of been around for a bit. It's like, I don't know. Like, what else can they do? Really?
I don't know. They've done the papercraft thing. That was one that I really liked. What was the recent one? I think it didn't come out on Switch. I think it was on Wii U, or maybe it was on Switch. I'm trying to remember now. There's one thing where they had the water, and the water looked like sparkly paper, and I was just enthralled by it. Which game was that?
I don't remember which game it was. Yeah. Well, they don't remember Rodney Dangerfield, so
I know.
Second
Brains
one.
of Civ.
Yeah, Brains of Civ.
Yeah,
it's too late too.
I know.
It's a little late.
It's not too bad.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I always get a little worried because I'm on the West Coast, so it's fine for me. But so I really have no excuse. Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah. Are you a bit of a night owl?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would much rather I force myself to go to bed because I am the worst at getting up in the morning. Yeah. But like my greatest hours are like 12 to 3 for both work and gaming. So, but you can't do that when you're an adult and have to work a 9 to 5.
The rest of the world wants you to start.
Or you suffer. And your colleagues suffer because you're cranky.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. What are you playing right now? Like, what are you up to?
I am obsessed with Graveyard Keeper.
What the heck is that?
Okay, so Graveyard Keeper is, think Stardew Valley, but a whole hell of a lot darker.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's on Game Pass, but I've been following this game when it was like in development. Yeah. I own it on both PC. I bought it when it came out on PC, and then I bought it on Xbox when it came out, and then it went to Game Pass. It's like the main character that you play is the Graveyard Keeper, and you have to do a whole bunch of tasks because he died and he landed in this old timey world and he wants to go back to his love. So you have to try and figure out a way to get home. And in that, you end up becoming a cultist, a human taxidermist, and you are a preacher, and you are a farmer, and you are a builder, and you have to make friends with everybody in town, and a fisherman, and like everything that I love about those farming sim games that are just so charming with a little bit of, I guess macabre side to it, right? So
I don't know what macabre means. I don't know what that is.
It's like dark.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to use graveyard, but Halloween, like dark and Vincent Price-esque. He's very macabre. Yeah.
I never even heard of that. I mean, I'm sure like one of the things, like we always talk about the games that are coming to Game Pass. So I'm sure even that has been uttered on the Xbox Drive at some point, but yeah, I never really like followed up with that. Like, so how did you like Sims? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Something like do you feel like, because I feel like my gaming has changed over the years. Like I feel like my preferences has changed, and that's a thing that I would find myself maybe like 20 years ago just obsessing with, and I don't know. I don't know that's not my gaming style kind of like right now,
Yeah, you get in moods. And,
yeah. That's the best way to put it. You totally get in moods.
You get in moods. I get in moods because like I have Ratchet and Clank, and I know it's gorgeous, and I know I want to play it, but I just can't. I can't get there right now. I don't know what it is. My brain is too stimulated on work stuff. Like when I played through Last of Us Part 2, I powered through that.
So did
it was just like an addiction.
Yeah.
But like I get like that where I'll just be like full tilt, don't want to do anything else. And to the point where it's like an obsession. Like Minecraft is an obsession for me.
Yeah,
I
it's like a way of life.
Want to play. I'm watching YouTube videos of farming tips of how to like break the system to make iron farms. I'm learning, watching Hermitcraft. Like it's a religion at this point, Minecraft.
Yeah. How do you build something like that? Like, how do you make something so just never ending and you can just do anything in it? Like, I just don't even understand. Like, I'm not into Minecraft. I have a huge admiration for people who are. And obviously you were playing role-playing games as a young kid, because that generally is the difference between,
So it's kind of started with the platformers and all that kind of stuff, and then got in, and those kind of evolved into action adventures being Zelda. Yeah. And then when the PlayStation came around, got introduced to RPGs and all that kind of stuff. And I really do love the turn-based Japanese old school RPGs. And then, as it just kind of opened up, I never really got into racing games or fighting games outside of just like entertainment purposes with friends.
Your parents were right about maybe some video games will rot your brain, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened to my brain. It's like
fighting games, racing games,
racing. Racing games. Yeah, I was playing like Need for Speed on PC. Like we didn't even have consoles growing up. I had a PC back in the day. And it was always those ones.
I think the one that really stuck with me and it was StarCraft 2.
Yes. Oh, there it is, Leah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
now we're
real-time
dorks.
strategy.
Yeah, man.
And I think that it makes a lot of sense now, because I found that my niche in work and in what I do for the podcast and what I like to play is stuff where I can be thought process strategy, learning more. And that's what I like about sim games and Minecraft. And I'm not as good as the reaction time. Like, don't ask me to play Call of Duty. Like, I'm terrible. But if you want me to be and have smarts with it and be strategic and planning and figuring out, the tasks that need to happen to be most effective, min-maxing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I am here for it.
I love that term min-maxing. Is I'm slowly but surely coming to understand it and maybe even be able to use it in my own sentence. But I love that. Like, there's this vocabulary around gaming that it just sort of like happened. And I remember very specifically, like when I really first got into gaming, it was like my dad got me a subscription to PC Gamer in like 1998. Now I'm like, I don't know half the words that these guys are talking about, and I remember like thinking specifically, I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm just going to read it until I understand it. Like that was, grade 8 Sean. Back in the day, I'm just gonna figure it out, and
that's the fake it till you make it.
Pretty much,
we just went full circle.
Yeah, we tend to do that. I mean, seems like we're going off in all these different directions, but it all comes back to fake it till you make it. That's how you know it's really at the heart of what we're up to.
It's true.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So you playing what was it called again? Graveyard
Keeper. So I'm in the middle of that right now.
Yeah.
I have a code for Chicory, so I want to play that too, because I hear that is like the bomb.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of people playing that one.
Yeah, that's supposed to be like a painterly Zelda, which I'm like, that sounds intriguing.
Yep.
I've got Ratchet and Clank. I'm through like 2 parts of that. Minecraft is always in the back of my mind. And just waiting to see kind of like what comes next, because I feel like there's tons of stuff coming, yet I don't really know what's coming. It's a weird year, 2021. The COVID,
Yeah, like you do know pretty much exactly, especially if you're thinking about like, especially on Xbox, like you kind of know exactly what every studio is doing, and yet you still think like maybe there's some openings, like maybe there's some surprises left, but probably not, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, as soon as they give me the Xbox Series X version of Cyberpunk, I will start that again.
Oh, did you? I didn't even start it. I accidentally pre-ordered 2 copies that kind of just like showed up. I'm like, I don't even remember pre-ordering this one, but okay. And I actually returned them both just when I heard all the things. And
what did you buy it for?
For Xbox.
For Xbox?
For Xbox, yeah. Both times, as it turns out.
Yeah, I bought digital. Didn't want to return it. Played 7 hours of it. Had some really crazy glitchy stuff, and I was like, okay, no, I'm going to put you away.
Yeah, not the
because
cute
I know
glitchy
you
stuff.
will be good once you have cured.
Yeah.
You stay in the oven until you are done.
Yeah.
So
But I think we're going to be too busy this fall. Like, that's the thing. Like, last year was kind of it. I don't know.
Well, I've got to spend vacation time somehow because, like, it's there and there's nowhere to go. And,
yeah. Do you ever, like, go back? Like, is that something that you tend to do? Like, do you go back to games? I find that to be a little bit tricky, like, where I pretty much need to play, like, when I buy it, when it comes out. Otherwise, like, unless there's a sale I get excited about later that I buy it later. Like, I find it difficult to go back.
No, not really. It depends on the mood. It depends what I'm feeling. And if a game is speaking to me, then it will. And oftentimes it's mostly because, like, they've made a significant change in the system and an upgrade or something to change to ease, life, DLC, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I like to, because obviously when you're talking about video games every week, you want to be on top of it. But I've also learned too that, like, I want to play what I want to play. Mm-hmm. And if that's the newest, hottest, fresh release because I want to be on top of it, great. If it's this Minecraft and I'm back to my old, nonsense again, then that's okay. Yeah. Because in the end, it's for me, right? I'm not under the gun to do anything. So why not just play what I want to play? Is that what you guys tend to talk about, like, on Girls on Games? Like, it's just kind of like whatever. Like, you don't really feel like beholden to be like, this is the latest new release and we're going to be talking about this now. We try. Yeah. But each of us has a very distinct style of game that they like, but we all come back together on certain things that we get hooked on. And we all know each other so well that, Allie will recommend a game to me like Slime Rancher and it'll just blow my mind. That's one of my favorite games of all time, right? Yeah. So we just, after doing this for so long and understanding each other, we've almost become good litmus tests to say, like, okay, maybe I don't like this, but I know Simon's going to like this. Isn't that's such a special thing? Like, yeah, if somebody else recommends it or if you recommend something, like I hold that like to a weird degree in my mind of, like, the recommendation is very special, especially when you're making it to, like, one other person. Like, yeah, this is a Leah game or this is a Ryan game or whoever it is. Like, yeah, and you got to know the other person really well to get it. Yeah. But I think that's what I like about podcasts and video game podcasts is because you start to understand that person and what their tastes are, and then you play what they like. And if you're into it, then you always kind of want to know what they're playing because you're like, if they like it and they're into it, then I'm probably going to be into it too. Yeah. Are you, like, a completionist when it comes to that kind of stuff? Or do you kind of, like, dip in? Yeah. Yeah. I play whatever I want. Yeah. That was something that I struggled with for a while too, because some people are really into completionism, are really into achievement hunting. Yeah. But I think that I just got old and said, I'm just going to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. It's a freeing thing that seems to have happened in the video game community just in the last couple of years of, like, play on baby mode, play as much or as little as you want. Like, I think Game Pass has a lot to do with that as well. Like, there's just absolutely no way to. I think it's just a lot of people have come out and say, like, screw it. Do what you want. Mm-hmm. It's your game. Like, you're the one. Are you going to ruin your own experience because of some other rando person that you'll never, ever meet? Well, I think part of it, like, the more I think about it and kind of talk to people about it is, like, when you say, like, are you going to ruin your own experience? Like, I don't even know if people even realize that that's what they're doing. Like, it's kind of like when you start to become a little bit more familiar with yourself, your own taste, like you get to know yourself more. Mm-hmm. It seems like maybe a strange thing, but you just kind of, like, I don't know, that's just part of getting older as well. Like, knowing what you like and knowing what you don't like in games and music and people and all these things. Like, I'm surprised when I think about the games I used to play and the people I used to hang around with. It's like, where were your standards? You develop those over time, I think, as well, like your own taste. Yeah. But that's definitely part of getting old. And I think that's why everybody is like, old man, old, that kind of thing. But then you're like, no, I just like what I like. Yeah. Just give me more of what I like. I only got so much time. Yeah. I don't know if it has to be, it doesn't have to, like, tie it to, like, the aging, like, closer to death kind of thing. I think it's experience. I'll put a positive spin on it. It's not one step closer to the grave. It's, just we're all one step closer to the grave. Oh my God, no kidding. Yeah, that's why we can't waste any time. We got to play all the games. And God only knows we're gonna have another pandemic. God,
Stop! Like, don't even. Because I'm sort of like, I just want it to be over. Like, I'm good. We did our thing. We made tough decisions. We made our sacrifices. We're good now, right? Like, we got our jabs. We did the right thing. Now let's all like go back to the movies and touch things and like doorknobs and whatever.
Do things. Yeah. Go to clubs and see concerts and hug family and do all that. But that's the thing, is you don't know when the next thing is going to come around the bend. So you might as well enjoy what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such a newfie attitude too, I think, though. Like, everybody needs to like take a couple, like, what do you think about, like, as somebody comes from Newfoundland, like, is it better or worse to have like it just like flooded with tourists? Like, people come and go like, oh, I've heard about this place. Sounds like fun. Is that like, do you like introducing like that style of just living and partying and everything? Or would you rather just close out the rest of the world and go like, no, this is ours?
No. The thing about being a Newfie and being essentially, a fairly small population stuck on an island in the middle of the North Atlantic, is that you get used to, making your own fun, I guess is the best way I could put it. And, they are the most welcoming, generous people.
Yes.
And that's so special. So... the thing is they say about party animals, whatever, it's mostly just that you feel like you're having a party all the time because you just feel like you're having a good time because people are just so generous and smiley and energetic and, fairly happy about life and genuinely happy to meet new people and to see new things because it's just not there, right? Yep. You just, and especially like before internet, it was so... very one way and so Catholic or Christian and white and only so much stuff. Like, I think I had one African American kid in my class and there was one Jewish family, and like you just don't see perspectives. So when you do, you're just so excited to learn something new. And that's why they just like Newfies like telling stories and having fun, and they work hard, play hard, right? It's not an easy life, especially considering like what it used to be with the fishery and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of have not. So Newfies are just they understand you're here for a good time but not a long time.
It's a good song. Yeah, I mean, I've experienced it, and it's just there's nothing quite like meeting somebody and they're just being so willing to like, well, they'll say like, if you're ever in Newfoundland, like, you got a place to stay, and then you kind of call them on it and they're totally like not even hesitating. They're totally, they mean it. They're not just saying like, whenever you're in Newfoundland, like most people would probably throw that around. Like, whenever you're around these parts, and like that person's never going to come around here, but we had a guy from Newfoundland. He was working out here in Alberta for about a year or so. And then he moved back home, and he's like, yeah, no, you guys are coming. And so it was about 6 months later, we had like the greatest 2 weeks ever. Just the absolute most fun. He introduced us to all his family and all his friends. Like, and it was like, you don't even remember that you're not from there. You just kind of you just arrived and you're like, why did I buy a flight home? Like, I should just stay
did you
here.
pick up an accent? My husband picks up an accent.
I don't think so.
Every time he goes home.
I don't think so, but I'm not entirely sure.
He's from Toronto area,
Yeah.
As Canadian can be. And then when I bring him home, he'll end up with a thicker Newfie accent than I do.
I think because we continually were made fun of for the way that we say things rather than like saying things like, I feel like I'm saying like Newfoundland wrong. Like, I think that there's
Newfoundland now?
Yeah, I don't know.
People say Newfoundland. Like they kind of like,
or they over enunciate like the found.
Where the emphasis on the right syllable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's Newfoundland.
Yeah. So
not Newfoundland. No, Newfoundland.
Yeah. What's your take on Labrador? Do we like them? Do we?
Yeah.
It's
that's a different part.
That's a different land. We should probably hate them.
Well, it's stuck to the rest of Canada. But my dad often goes up fishing.
Yeah.
So, I haven't been, but I really should be. I should go sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to go. Montreal's my next spot. If I'm going to go somewhere else in Canada, Montreal's next.
Yes, need to. If there's a party city, it's that one.
Well, and then the funny thing is, like, now I'm, my bones, I need calcium pills to make sure that my bones don't turn to dust and get so.
You'll just party just a different form. You won't be going to the clubs and partying and doing the after hours and stuff. You're gonna go to the nice restaurants and drink and eat like champions, and then walk down in the old port, go see some stuff, go watch a show,
music
go
is
to a music
the best.
festival, that's Montreal, the culture of it,
thing.
right?
Yeah, you wander around and just like somebody's gonna be playing music somewhere. Like that's like there's nothing. You don't walk around here anywhere. Like it's too cold most of the time and everything. Like we're all dispersed.
Where are you?
I'm in Alberta. I'm in Edmonton. Like
you're in Edmonton? Okay.
Yeah, like there's nothing really happening here. So when we go to really anywhere, but yeah, like I've spent a week in like Nova Scotia and done that whole thing, and then a year later did Newfoundland, and it's just like, yeah, that's where I will end up at some point in my life. Like I'd like to, like that's kind of like a retirement plan.
Cool.
Sell my Alberta house and I'll go buy twice as much in Newfoundland.
Hey, look. It's not as Newfoundland and even Halifax, they get a lot of fog. It's not nearly as warm as Toronto and Montreal.
Yeah.
But it does not get cold. It does Toronto, Montreal, and Edmonton. It because of the way that like the two gulfs come down, the Labrador and the Mexico and how they kind of like hit each other. It makes it kind of temperate, which means you don't get super hot and you have like this weird like damp cold and there's lots of fog, but -20 is not a thing. Which is excellent. But you may have snowmageddon, like that may happen, but
that happens here too. We get it
good.
all. Yeah. It's just it's just beautiful. Like it really is. Like it's a different. I remember both times when I went, and it was the same for Newfoundland and like Nova Scotia and everything. It was like I felt like I was actually in a different country. Like they still accepted my Canadian dollars, and everybody was speaking English as far as I could tell. But it did feel like it's just a totally different like pace. Like just you walk off the plane and it's just totally and I don't know. I don't mean like I think you're right. I think slower is probably the word to describe it, but that sounds almost like negative. Like it's just better. Like it's just this is nice.
I found the South like that too. It's more just laid back.
Yeah.
And less rushy because I think we're used to city life because even Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, they're cities, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of used to that rat race. And when you go to these communities that are not as big and it's just everything's just a little bit more laid back, a little bit more casual.
And it's nice to have that.
Minutes are lower.
Yeah. I feel like that's the type of thing that I'd like to experience more in my life as well too. Because like when we do podcasts, like we're, people will from all walks of life will be listening,
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, and you kind of know that there's going to be some people who are living in the city and they're right there with the pace with you and everything else. But like when you just kind of acknowledge that life is different when you're at a different kind of area, then like what do they care about? What do they feel is important? Like the things that we talk about and we care about and we argue about on podcasts, like maybe they don't even register for people who live in different lifestyles. Like, I don't know exactly what to make of that, but it's just kind of like striking me as interesting right now.
Well, that's what's interesting because people coming back to like video games as art. That's where the criticism is interesting because it means that people are going to come and look at games in different perspectives. Yeah. So how I may read a game because I have that background may be different from how you read a game, me being female, you being male, different perspectives, all that kind of stuff. And that's when the conversation gets interesting, right? Because the idea is art is you need to, it's supposed to, percolate ideas in your head and that and vocalizing that and expressing that is important. So that's where I find it very interesting to having different walks of life come and look at essentially the same thing was presented to everybody, but we all take something a little different from that. Yeah. And interpret it differently. And I think that's really interesting and cool.
There's this really, there's an interesting thing that my boss at work did this one time. She held up a piece of paper and it was like a paragraph of words and she let us all read it like once and then she took it down and we're like, we don't know what she was going to do. So she puts it up again. She's like, I'm going to let you read this again. And everybody's reading it, now we're trying to memorize like all these different, trying to figure out patterns. And then she says, okay, everybody count the number of F's in this paragraph, and everybody counts them all, and everybody's like, sure, like this is the easiest thing we could ever, this easiest assignment ever. And so then she says, okay, so how many people saw 5 F's? And some people put up their hands, and I'm like, oh shit, there's like some magic trick happening here. And she goes, how many saw 6? And some other people put out their hands. How many saw 7? And so all these different people saw different numbers of the letter F in this paragraph. And there was a correct answer. But what the point of the exercise was that some people, based on a variety of reasons, saw F's that started the words. Some saw the F's that were in the middle of words, and some saw F's or like ignored like words like of or off. They would not count them properly. So it was like this really interesting, just like, and a very basic and very memorable exercise that I will never forget probably for the rest of my life, even though I'll forget Rodney Dangerfield and that other thing that I already forgot that we forgot about. I think I'll remember this, that we all see and perceive things very, very differently. And that was objective. Count the F's. It was as black and white as it could have been. And we all still came up with different answers and felt like we were 100% right about it.
I thought you were going to be like, they told us to read this, and then they asked me what color was the paper or what ink color. That's what I was like, what kind of trick are they going to play on me here today?
Honestly, I was reading like, and she kept putting it back up, like, okay, no, like seriously, how many F's are in this? And I'm looking up because everybody else is having all these different answers. It was on a Word document, so I'm looking at like the tabs at the top, like, is there F's up there that I'm supposed to be reading? Like, I don't know.
That's too much video games. We played way too many puzzle games where like or escape rooms or something where like someone's playing mind games with us.
I was at E3 a couple of years ago, and we got to see 12 Minutes.
Oh my goodness,
which was awesome. But I was with Mercer Roberto, and Maka was there.
Oh,
and Maka, who does all the all the guides, and he's breaking games just on the regular. He's in this like behind closed doors demo, like. And you can see his method, like whenever he picks up a game for the first time, he's trying to break this demo that's kind of like barely holding together. But yeah, it's just interesting, like the way that people kind of approach games for the first time.
I would love to watch his process.
Yeah.
Because that's fascinating. Like, what does he do? Because he pumps them out so quickly.
I know.
So how does he take apart a game? And in doing that, is that ruining his experience with the game? Does he still have the same appreciation?
I'd love to have him on to ask him about it, actually. Because I was like, I haven't really hung out with him all that much. But Marissa was the one calling him out on it. Like, Macca, stop trying to break it. We've only got a half an hour here. Like, just get through this game. It's hilarious. Oh, my gosh. Well, Leah, I've had a great time just chatting with you tonight. I don't know why it's taken us this long to do that for me even to ask you.
I don't know. Time is a weird construct right now.
I've meant to ask you for a long time. I don't remember. I think it was I think you've been on a show with Mark Carabin a while ago. Maybe it was Secret Friends Unite, or I don't know. I heard you on a friend's show a long time ago. I'm like, I don't know why I haven't reached out to you. But
what have I done recently?
It wasn't even recent. That's the sad thing. It wasn't. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I've been on a few things.
Mm-hmm. We were on with Steve and everybody else over there. Like,
yeah,
that was the thing.
My buddy.
Yeah.
Steve. Steve and I worked together at the radio stations back in the day because he used to be in radio. And then when they divested his stations, we kind of lost contact. And then we kind of reconvened, and we were like, "Holy crap! I remember you."
Power of the internet. Look at that. Oh, I love it.
Small world. Well, really small world.
Except for like the gigantic landmass, and somehow we all find each other still playing video games and podcasting and stuff.
We still manage to make friends.
Yeah. Well, I do, now that the world may be coming back back to normal, I do end up in Toronto every once in a while. I don't ask anybody to come on over here. Nobody comes over here, and it's not even
you never know. I might end up there for work. We got radio stations. If I do, I'll hit you up.
That would be very cool. I'd love to be able to like return the Newfie favor and say, like, we got a place for it. I don't have anywhere for you to
I don't either. This tiny little Toronto condo.
Yeah.
I'd be like, let's go to my mom's house.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying to you too. Yeah.
And she'd be like, for the barrier.
Yeah, they've got extra beds over there. It's a great. They'll cook for you and everything. They're wonderful. But
exactly.
Do you want to close things out? And do you want to tell everybody where they can find you on the internet and all those good things?
Sure. So I run a video game podcast called Girls on Games that is weekly, along with my best friends, Catherine, Allie, and Simon. And you can find that on Twitter and Facebook. We are The Girls on Games. On Instagram, we're just Girls on Games. We managed to get it without the. We got a Discord channel, discord.me/girlsongames. But then the podcast is always, on all those great podcast services, Apple, Google, iHeart, all that jazz, along with you can hunt it down at the website. That's girlsongames.ca. And if you want to talk to me, I'm most often found on Twitter at Leah Jewer.
That is phenomenal. Leah, thank you so much. Late at night, I know, but now you're warmed up. You're ready to go play Graveyard Madness.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to bed. I got to work tomorrow.
Work. Well, exactly. I appreciate you carving out time late at night on the Eastern time zone. I really appreciate it. And thanks for chatting with me tonight.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Parties, man. Kitchen parties. If you guys have never had a kitchen party, never been to one, never found yourself in it, like some of you might have just like maybe accidentally ended up in the kitchen, maybe because it seems like a pretty common place to congregate. I don't know necessarily if just like doing like just gathering in the kitchen. That's a normal thing. I don't know if that's necessarily unique to Newfoundland, but there is something special about a Newfie kitchen party, man. You got to try it. And I'm telling you, I feel like I finally made some progress and maybe something. I was talking to Donnie Reese on Sweet Hangs last weekend and Dev, you guys in America with all your big American dollars, you can come on up here to Canada and like live like kings, man. Your dollars are worth so much, and especially in Newfoundland, like holy crap. Even like other Canadians go to Newfoundland to go like your dollar just goes a little further there, man. It's a good time, and so it's no surprise that Leah is such a delight. That made a lot of sense for me. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. I hope Leah will come back. I had a great time chatting with her. What a great episode, man. We did it. We did it. Now another week. I hope you guys are doing good, by the way. I don't know if I said that at the start. I hope you're doing all right. And if you're doing crappy before, hopefully you're doing a little better now. I can't fix everything, but you guys can help me out if you like. If you like the show, you can follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. And if you really like it, you can drop a $1 or $2 or $10 over at patreon.com/YouMeCapri. You get bonus content like my solo Q&A show. It's the Pants Podcast, the Pants Patreon Podcast for Patrons Podcast. It's only for people at $3 and up, and you can ask me anything. There's a theme going on. In case you guys want to know why I hate milk or why everybody seems to think that I hate milk, it's a thing over there on the Pants Podcast. If you haven't already, if you don't want to support on Patreon, other ways that you can support the show, rate it on Apple Podcasts. That would be amazing. Share the show. Shout out to Brent Robinson, who, when you guys see it on the Twitter at WeTheGamerCast, you should follow that too. Brent Robinson is the damn social media manager for the show. He's cutting out clips. He's tweeting on a daily basis. He's got my back. I appreciate it very, very much. And I appreciate you guys for hanging out, man. This is a little bit of a different show. Sometimes, hopefully this was a good episode. I feel okay about it. I feel all right. So at the end, we kind of do this thing with Jason from Heavy Rain. Do you guys remember that game from PS3? That's pretty much the end of the show. And I hope you guys are going to come back next week because I'm going to be here with another Canadian guest, I think. So here he is, Jason. This is the end. Bye-bye.
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!